Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, Shabbat Shalom. How do you do today? I'm very happy to be here with you today. Do you get a sound coming? How do you do, Luke, Fernando, Yanis? Would you like to share with us something? Experience of an autumn day, Fernando, maybe? How does it feel like in autumn in Brazil? Our topic today is mental desert. And before we start speaking about mental desert, what happens to you when you hear the word desert in English? What kind of association comes to you when you hear the word desert? Yes, I see there's a heat wave. Yes, Yanis. We had a heat wave 2 days ago for 48 hours. When you hear the word desert, what comes to you? What kind of associate? Okay, Sahara, wilderness, no life, just sand. Yes. What is the Sahara? Yes, Sahara is not just the name of a desert, specific desert. This is the word in Arabic for a desert. Sahara or Sahra in Arabic, this is the word for desert. Yes, yes. What's so special about the desert? Can we grow there vegetation, trees, bushes? Is it even possible to maintain civilization in the desert? Is it possible? We're speaking usually about the term of crossing the desert. Yes, like cross a danger or cross a voyage in the ocean is something that we need to cross. Yes, because usually it's not a safe place. It is impossible to, yes. It is interesting that freedom from Egypt means going to, yeah. Still, it is interesting frame, Fernando, because in a way, Egypt is the world of duality, and still the way to go out is to go to the desert. But the desert, is it a safe place? This is the question. Is the desert a safe place? Yes, it's not. Usually, who cross the desert, who is moving? This is a good question, even just as an open question, regardless of the Bible. Who wanders in the desert? Yes. Who dares to cross the desert? In Thomas Mann's story or book, Joseph and his brothers, he described who are the people who are even daring to cross the desert. Who has such an idea to cross the desert? This is mission impossible. Because so many dangers are in the desert. There's no shade, no trees, no bushes, no moist. There are all kinds of merchants or, assassinators, gangs, criminals, regardless of nature. That nature itself does not enable us to maintain life in the desert. So if people are in the desert, they are crossing the desert. Yes, just to on the way, because it is impossible to root civilization in the desert. The desert itself is a nomadic entity, not just that nomadic people live in the desert, but the desert, by its definition, is nomadic. The sand, which are composing the desert, the sand, is just nomadic because every wind can come and what carry the sand all over the place. So the sand of the Sahara, just speaking because it happened this week and it is still happening, there was a dust storm that brought the Sahara sand and dust to Athens in Greece. And not just to Greece or to Athens, the whole Mediterranean at the moment is covered with dust. But not just the Mediterranean, even if we go even to the North Pole and we research into the layers of ice, we can find traces of the desert dust and traces of volcanoes, ashes. When something is happening, it's not just in one place. We think that there are two places. No, it comes all over the place. So, and Fernando brought this idea to leave Egypt and to come to the desert. So it's not a safe place to be. So still in Egypt, there is a king and there's slaves. This is the world of duality. And they go to the desert, yes, also a place of duality, a place of struggles, a place in which thinking about it, yes, now just thinking about it, that just this idea to go to the desert does not, let's say, prophesize good. It's not a good prophecy to cross the desert. Because who goes out alive, who comes alive from the desert? Yes, and one generation did not make it because it's impossible to cross the desert. The desert is a place of duality. Yes, in Hebrew we have the value of in the desert, Bamidbar is 248. Yes, like the word rechem, like the name of numbers of organs of a fetus in the baby, where the future baby is crystallized. Yes, that in the desert yes, cannot do much in the desert, yes. On top of it, what does like heat waves, yes. In Egypt is working all the time, yes, no space. In the desert, there's seemingly not so much doing, yes, and there's like heat waves, and there's Fata Morgana, and there's storytelling, yes, because there's nothing to do, so what people do. This is interesting. Suddenly there's a lot of space, so what people do in this space, yes. There's nothing that occupies the mind or the time. But now I would like to move from the desert, like biological desert, to the mental desert. Yes, because desert is not just a geographical, let's say, phenomenon. It is also that we have, all of us are around us, are circulated with mental desert. What is the meaning of mental desert? What do you think is the meaning of a mental desert? How can we characterize the mental desert? When life, creativity do not grow. Yes. Life, yes. There's no life and there's no creativity. Everything is numb and dumb. Yes. And what happens in those moments, yes, to humans when they have a sense, even sometimes we cannot define that this is a mental desert. There's a sense of dead end and nothing is coming and nothing is what happens inside of us in those moments when there's a recognition of mental desert around us, what people tend to do, or what we, if we want to share what happens to us when there's a mental desert. Yes, get into depression and become negative. There's one, yes, there's one way. And another way is also, yes, is that people hook themselves of all kinds of ideas that might bring them a salvation, like want to go to an action, yes. So suddenly they find themselves in a gym, or they go to climb mountains, like to find happening something which is happening. So they go to shops, yes, and they buy equipment of mountain climbers, and they go to cycles and they learn how to climb mountains. And if you have once tried to climb a mountain, there's a lot of jeopardy comes with it. You have to know where you're climbing, what are the conditions, how to communicate with friends, and so it's not easy. So people are choosing all kinds of extremities, yes, to feel something is alive, even to be in the hand of danger, yes, to climb mountains or to swim under harsh conditions when there's a storm. Or people go to the borders sometimes, to the wilderness next to a live fence, just to taste their borders, to get a friction with something which is alive. Yes, this is what drives people to extreme sports. Yes, they do here in Israel a lot of extreme sports, because there is a feeling if something is not going, it's dead, it's not going well. So, or sometimes people are drinking. Yes, they go and they drink, or they go to parties and they have all kinds of all kinds of, how do you say, they take all kinds of pills to get them started, yes, and they go to different places inside of them. So there is a sense of everything doom and gloom, or there's no pulse, or everything is dead, or there isn't much going on. And there's a comment, yes, there's situation A and there's a comment B, extreme sport, yes, sometimes to the hand of danger, or drinking, or going to party, yes, and take all kinds of pills, or even pills with alcohol, yes, in the sun, yes, and so. Yes, Fernando, I think that it can apply to all kinds of, yes, 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 bet in games, hunt, yes, to make more money, yes. The sense of dead inside, nothing is moving. So if, yes, that's correct. If nothing is happening, so we shall make it happen, yes. There was something interesting that you mentioned here about religiosity, and so it was several autumns ago, I think before the corona. We were taking a walk on the shore. It was afternoon, 5, 6, before sunset, something like that. And from far, walk on the shore, and I was not alone. There were people who were few, not fishermen, but people who were fishing, and some doing all kinds of sports, like free afternoon. Somewhere in the distance, I noticed there's a person standing in the low water and putting a head of a child in force in the water. And I said to myself, am I saying right? Am I saying correct? Like an adult person, a lady, were wearing religious, so to speak, in brackets, dressing, and by force putting a head of a child 5 years old in the water by power, one, two, twice. I noticed it's real. This is not, and people on the shore just ran. Yes, because they noticed too, even those who were with a fish pond, with a fishing, I don't know how to call it in English. They approached the water, people who were just playing with the ball, everybody went to see what is happening. And the child, the more we got closer to the place, the child was choking. He was 5 years old. He was undressed. And the mother was fully dressed, almost like with black dressing, with a head scarf on something. And she was putting the head of the child again in the water, drowning him. And all of us came. It was like a community of 15, 20 people just came from all over the place. And somebody asked, it was horrifying to see this. And someone asked her, excuse me, in politeness, because she was on some kind of an episode. So he says, excuse me, what do you do? And the child was like, when we arrived, he was just tried to get some air because he was she drowned him by force. Excuse me, what do you do? And she said, please listen to the words. The rabbi told me to baptize the child. So came one of the people who were holding the fisherman stick, I don't know what. He says, but I'm going to the, how do you say, religious school, yeshiva, called yeshiva in Hebrew. I go to religious school. He was 17, 18, 19, some in his 20s. And he said, there's nothing like this written nowhere. And came another person who was speaking Arabic in his mother language, but he was speaking to her Hebrew. And he said, lady, this is not a way to relate to a child. Very soft, because she was under something, influence. And slowly, people just try to diffuse the situation. The child was almost killed. She almost killed him by putting his head by power. And she was holding some kind of a notebook, a manifest, who knows what, in her hand. And she shows the Arab dude, or the speaking Arab dude. She said, this is the manifesto according to her idea, what is written in the manifesto she's doing. Was an afternoon here, several autumns ago. The child almost died. And he was choking and coughing, waters, because people were assembly shows, so assemble around her. So she stopped doing it. Yes, just stood there by being there, and 2 or 3 tried to speak to her softly. Just by being there, she stopped doing it, and slowly they moved out of the water, and all of us were following the situation. They approached the rocks, because there's like kind of rocks next to the shore, and they were dressing there up the rock, and the 2 dudes continued to speak to her until they dress up and left the shore. Yes, this is what happened. People invent all kinds of ceremonies and rituals because something is going on. Yes. And they think that God is speaking to them, and this is they hear voices, or God is speaking to them. And next to the mountains of Jerusalem, this is happening still now. Nowadays, this is happening. There was an Israeli director. He made a movie about this phenomenon as well. People are reading the Bible literally. They think they understand it, and they go to the mountains. I think that I have shared it a few times, that they go to the mountains of Jerusalem, next to this Moriah mountain, or around Jerusalem, and they go with the children and with ropes, yes, and they bind the children with ropes for God offering, yes, until this day this is happening. This is definitely a climate of mental desert, because someone needs to do something. Yes, to do something. Because if I'm the doer, I'm alive. Yes. As Fernando mentioned before, in Egypt there's a sense of slavery, so every moment is occupied by doing something. Yes. There is no minute to breathe. Yes, and suddenly there's coming to the desert. Yes, and what? But also the mental desert is a notion that tells us there is two. There's a me, persona, so to speak, and there's a world. And there is a distance between me and the world. Therefore, I need to do something that will hook me into the world. There is a sense. Yes, yes, yes. This is the thing. What is a mental desert? There is like a separation between, so to speak, the human and the world. So the need to do something to hook, but this is only a distraction that goes in the brain, that there's, so to speak, a me and the world, or a human and the world. It cannot be that there are two. When we look at cats, we see something interesting that we don't see in humans usually. Because all of us have a sense of, it doesn't matter what a name we carry, we have a sense of me and the world. So there's body and brain called something, Mary or Paul or yes, or Alex, and there is Alex and the world, or Mary and the world. She's standing against the world. But it's not like this. So when there is a situation of mental desert, person with the world, and it goes person with the world because the sense of person is a false, persona is a false image. But always when there's a person or persona, there's against it the world. So we have two. And if there are two, and there's a separation or distance between Mary and the world, comes and hook. We will try what? To connect or to do something, yes, to feel that there's a connection. But the separation comes from the thought that tells us that we are separated from the world. Yes, in cats we don't see that. If there's a hazy day, let's say there's a lot of haze, so they're just sitting and just being, yes. They don't have a sense of, yes, that they have a persona. Though we have different names for the cats, but they themselves do not have this sense that I have to do something to connect the world or to hook myself to the world, because life is happening inside of them, that inside of us too, but we don't recognize it. We say that the brain is telling us we are separated. We should always have the separation sense. And this is what creates the notion of mental desert more than anything else. Yes? So there is a physical desert. Yes, there is. 1/3, yes, of the world, Wikipedia will tell you, is desert. But inside of us, this is the head, will tell us all the time, this is the thought, yes, tell us that always we are separated. In some communities, it is like, okay, I have a dead moment, so what is my neighboring doing? Is the neighbor having a better life at the moment or different life? Let's see what he or she is doing. It is hard for us, Yes, to accept the mere fact that life is what there is at the moment, and everyone experiences the same moment. But each one of us has in a way, differently wired, and it will tell us that we are doomed and gloomed and we are disconnected from the world and so on. Yes? Cats, they don't have this sense. They don't have the sense of separation. We have the sense of being separated. Like, we have the sense that we are separated entities. What gives us the sense that we can just be and we don't need to fight or struggle against the world is the sense of conversation, true conversation. Yes, there is in a way a need almost to speak about those things, because comes the next moment which will deny the truth of this moment and will tell us again that something is wrong with us. Yes, that we are disconnected, or we are the only ones who are under these conditions of extreme heat wave or cold wave. Yes, this is not true. This is not true. The mental desert is something which is happening mechanically. It's mechanically happening. We don't need to operate something. We don't need to push a button. Yes? Or click a letter on the keyboard. This is mechanically happening, the mental desert. Always nomadic, in emotion, and will tell us that something else is going on and you're not connected and you're alone. And yes, where you are, where we are, there is no civilization. Yes, is somewhere there is a civilization. Yes, not here, not where we are at. And we will always want to go farther when we imagine that there is civilization and things are happening, because when we are, nothing is going on at the moment. Questions or thoughts? What happens when we feel this mental desert is just to accept that there's a moment, yes, of quietness or still. Accept it. And while or when we're accepting it, not fighting it, not do something against it, a new moment will come. Yes, and with it we shall see ourselves moving towards something to do with happiness and joy. Yes? This is what happened. Just to accept, like a cat. It's easy to speak about cats. Yes, to accept the moment. Not to struggle, not to bang the head against it. To accept this mere moment, how it is. And to accept by accepting now drinking water and just looking through the window, or if it is possible to walk outside, because it's not always possible to walk here for many reasons, not just weather. Accept it. Live by the hour, by the minute. Yes? And there's a renewal. We are, in a way, unable or enable, I don't know how to say this in English, we are incapable of perceiving the next moment. This is why we're thinking ahead, and we have, like, how to say, aims or targets for a long distance, because we're incapable of seeing the new moment and the birth and life that comes from the moment. Yes, we are afraid. We are afraid. We are so afraid to be in the moment, so to speak, of nothingness, of mental desert, and we try to fight it with building plans and modules. Yes, we want to circle or to fence ourselves in great plans. Yes, that it will protect us because we shall be engaged with those grandiose plans, and we shall never be able to feel this wilderness. But we can also be in the moment, accept, and then comes a new moment. It doesn't come from us, it comes from the infinite, and with it, a beautiful life comes, and suddenly there's a movement to dance or to call a friend or something. There's like the heart is flowering. It comes from the infinite. It doesn't come from mechanical doing that we do. Yes, just to accept it, that this is what there is at the moment. People think that acceptance, it means to be a loser. Yes, to accept. It is to admit, how do you say, a loss in a battle, but not. To accept something is to give it a space. When we give a space to the moment, new things are coming. Yes, Luke, as I listen in. Yes, with all. Yes, the simple things are so beautiful. Yes, yes, it's true. It's true, Yannis. Yes. It's from the infinite. Yes, this is just to give us a moment to space in, not to be afraid from it. It's just this is what there is, and a new moment will come. There was a moment here before we started class, something like Luke describes. There was like there is an air condition, and there's like the box of the air condition is outside of the window, and two birds, like two pigeons, yes, found their rest, and they're starting mingling with each other and speaking to each other with their beaks until Andre just says it's too private for the birds. I'm shielding the blinds from this moment and on. It's too private for the birds for us to see. So he closed. The birds were having a good moment of love. You know, you can say, we could say, nothing is happening, yes, in this Shabbat or something, or in this holiday, and they found their love, you know, on the air conditioned box. Also, when we took a walk next to the sea, we could see that there's like snails that they were finding, how to say, a refuge or a home on succulent plant. There is a special plant that they holds a lot of water and moist in their leaves. So we saw snails are gathering there, and they have a life. Everything is filled with life. Is life. The thinking, which is happening mechanically, will always, in a way, put us in confront or against the world. Yes, and the beautiful moments are when thinking, in a way, is not stopping but take a refuge and we don't think, because there's no need to think, and there's just being, and those are beautiful moments. The Shabbat, for instance, this is the 7th day, yes, because we have 6 days, yes, of the week, and 6 is a dual number, and 7 is sitting between 3 and 3, and there's a rest, and there's a space. We don't need to become someone, we don't need to write books, we don't need to do anything. Just being. Questions or thoughts that you would like to share or experience? Yes, Fernando, I'm thinking about the mind. Yes, yes, yes. Thought bring duality, yes, also judgment. Yes, this is it. This is it. Yes. How would you approach it? More? Yes? Serpa? What do you mean by? Yes, this is why. Seraphine, yes, this is, yes, yes. Yes. Moach, yes, yes. It is, if you notice, did it happen to you when you read a text? Let's say not from a book, printed book, but if you read a text of a book on a screen, and when we are reading, the eyes are really hovering the text. Did you notice that when we are reading a text online, the forehead gets warm, or we get warm while rushing over the text? Did you notice this? When you read a text, yes, very good. Our CPU, yes, it is getting warmer or hotter when we are processing information, in this case letters. CPU, our CPU in Hebrew is called, yes, me too, Fernando, me too. Yes, yes, yes. It's good to drink something, to walk and to take a walk few meters and to cool down from. Very good. Me too. I'm reading quite a lot. Yes. So, how do you say brain in Hebrew? Moach. This is moach. It has the same letters of Ham, hot. The brain, our CPU, the processing machine that we have inside, while processing, is getting warmer. Yes, it is interesting, Fernando, because the value of moach is 48. Yes, it's 48, and 248. 248 is the value of desert. Yes, Bamidbar. This is the 4th book of Moses. Bamidbar. Bamidbar is the 4th book of Moses. Its value is 248. It's hot also in the desert. All of those things are connected. So when we read a lot, or at once, yes, we have Moach and Noach, yes? because moach is 4, 8. Yes, those are even numbers. Also 4 is, how do you say, even, divided by 2, and also 8 is divided by 2, but Noah, the rest, Nun is 50. Yes, this is odd number. Yes, Nun, where are you, Nun, Hebrew Nun, where are you? Yeah, Nun is an odd number. Odd number. Yes, 55. Yes, an odd number like 7. There is a rest. An even number. So once the process of thinking or processing our CPU is running, it's like like a computer. Yeah. It is interesting. How do we say computer in Hebrew? Do you know? How do we say PC, computer? Machshev. Machshev holds the letters of moach. Yes, which is brain. Machshev. Machshev. Yes. So when we are reading or processing information very fast, our CPU, our moach, this is the source of the processing. The CPU is getting warmer. Moach, cham. You remember? One of Noah's children or sons is cham. Hot, warm, hot-headed. And also, as regarding to what you wrote, seraphim, those are, how do you say, glare or blare of thoughts which are immediately getting burned. Seraphim is not just, how do you say, burned angels, but it's a burn, I would say, thought. A thought which is being perceived and is immediately burned. Do we understand what seraphim is? Seraphim, because there's a moment, yes, in the desert when there's happening with the seraphim, hanechashim, seraphim, the serpents, seraphim. It has to do with the thoughts, yes, with the heat of the desert. Yes. Thought is something that, if we can describe the process of thinking, thought is like happening at the speed of light. There's appearance of something, but it's immediately burned. It doesn't leave any traces. It can trigger us for doing sometimes horrible things. Yes, but there's like we light a match. Yeah, this is like, so this is a thought, comes a glitch of a thought, and if we are, how to say, susceptible, some people can do horrible things with this. But those thoughts are considered to be nechashim, seraphim, serpent that are coming to separate, yes, and they are immediately burned. They don't last. They don't hold life. We tend to think or to believe that any process of thinking that crosses our brains, mind is a bit different, I would say, but any process of thinking that is crossing us is coming from us. Meaning, let's say John has a thought, or a thought is moving through John. John believes, or tend to believe, that he is the one who is thinking the thought. Again, thought appears in Mary's mind head, brain, Mary tend to believe or believes fully that she is the one who is thinking. And therefore, because people are convinced that the thinking is their own, therefore they think that their thoughts are first of all hidden, because only they think their thoughts or original thoughts, and those thoughts are hidden, and they are the owner of the thoughts or the process of thinking. Therefore, they are entitled for some kind, or they are better than others, because no one is capable of thinking of what they are thinking. It is very common. Nobody sees or perceives life as ABCD. I'm the only one who is capable of thinking. I have unique thought. I'm the master, yes, of thinking. Until people come together. It happens. I was listening to a conversation for people who go for recovery, and they believe that each one convinced that he has unique thought. Before they drink, there's a process which happens to everyone who drinks alcohol. And each one of them think that he is the one who has it, until they come to a group meeting and they are asked to share if they wish. Slowly they develop a trust and they share. At the beginning they look at it, what, something is wrong with me? Yeah, but they come, and when they share, it seems that all of them having the same thoughts or the process of thinking before they drink. If 10 people have the same thoughts, 100 the same thoughts, 1,000, 2,000 of people, 10,000 people have the same thinking, the same thoughts, the same words. How do they describe the process? So this process or this thought is not private. So I'm not a personal, I'm not so special. I'm not the only one on earth who has this unique kind of thinking. I'm not that special. If this is so what is really going on here? If this is so, I don't have a control of what is happening. I'm not the master of my thoughts. I'm not the generator of the thoughts. I'm not generating thinking. Because if 10,000 people are capable of this thinking, I'm not in control. So who else is in control of what is happening? We are tend to think, now going out from the frame of drinking, we tend to think that we are special, because this is what comes to a baby. There's a baby or a child, he's born, he gets a name, there's a family, there's definitions of the world that he is or she's growing in, that I'm special, I'm coming to this family, has kind of a story, and we grow out from this story, from this shell, and we see that this is not a private life, it's not a private story. Moreover, yes, we are not capable of thinking, I would say. it is thinking which is happening through us. Life is streaming through us. Actions are being happening through us. Universe or infinity uses us, yes, to stream life. We think that we are like those judges with the, how do you say, the judge has a special dressing, the gown of a judge. I don't know how to call it, the mantle of a judge, this coat of a judge, the black, how shall I call it? Mantle that a judge. We think, yes, the thinking mind tell us that we are the judges, we know everything, we handling our lives and so on. This is not the truth. This is not the truth. Yes, this is the thinking thought, the mechanical happening that circles us. Yes, Sahara. Sahara in Hebrew is like circling, schor. It just surrounds us all the time. The process will tell us that we are capable and so on. But this is not true. And once or twice, when we understand, we can hear, accept. Hearing is basically accepting that. Listening is accepting. When we accept that we are not the makers of our lives or initiating the stories of our lives, we have a great relief from, so to speak, carrying the burden of life, carrying the narrative of our life, keep the appearances, telling ourselves stories. We can drop those walls. We can let the makeup down. Yes, because we are not generating life. Yes, we're not writing the story. We don't need to run some kinds of economy. We don't need to run a show. We don't need to, and there's a great relief. We're not the writers of our lives. There's another script which are running in the background, and we're just playing a little role here and there, or in general. But the heaviness, yes, that comes as a consequence of judgment that is running, or judging, or the belief that we are the thinkers of our thoughts, which are, of course, not our thoughts. All this heavy construction is falling or stays behind, and we're just being. There's a great relief and peace that comes with just letting it drop. This is not ours, and we're not carrying any burden or any load. We're just breathing. Inhale, exhale. This is it. Any questions or thoughts to share? So with this beautiful session, I would like to wish each and every one of you a very happy weekend. Shabbat Shalom. And see you soon in the next meeting on Monday. Toda and Shalom.